They're not falling into the trap. They're diving into the pool head first. Communism. You like the weekend? Thank a union for that. Thank some communists for that, okay? I had some words to say about this over the weekend because like Israel was talking about all the Israel Hasbara agents were constantly chirping about like starvation, but this time of the Israeli prisoner of war. And I was reminded of Abu Ubaida's words in early October 2023 after October 7, where he said that the Israeli hostages and the prisoners of war would experience the same things that all Palestinians in Gaza are experiencing since they're now in the Strip. Since then, Israel has bombed hostages, Israel shot hostages as they waved white flags, and is now starving them all the same. If you don't let food into the Gaza Strip, then obviously you're literally starving. If you bomb the Gaza Strip, you're bombing the Israeli hostages as well. If you're starving Gaza Strip, you're starving the Israeli hostages as well. Of course you are. And since that statement, Hamas has brought forward more than 40 different proposals, relitigated hundreds of times for a prisoner exchange and a permanent ceasefire. Israel's refused every single one of them to continue the genocide. Hamas has put forth disbanding, and Israel has refused. Hamas is the reasonable party here. Israel is the unreasonable party here. But you would never hear that if you get your news from mainstream news. You would never recognize that reality. This is not me being biased, okay? I know that the people immediately go, oh, you're biased because you love terrorism or whatever. No, I'm biased because I know the truth. That's the difference. You don't know, and you don't want to know. That's it. And if the media did its job, if the media actually did its job, you would know as well. It would make it much harder for you to be fucking deluded. What is this? Big Nick energy? It's funny how Hasan asked, why can't people have just a little compassion, but then acts like this dude is so cooked? Wait, this dude literally has a fucking red triangle on his account. What? People are asking you, say, why do you say hostages, not POWs? Because civilians are hostages. Military, people who were fucking taken as prisoners of war from military bases are prisoners of war. Soldiers are not hostages. It's that simple. And all that is left now in Hamas hands are soldiers.
Hello. Reports from Israel say that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants to expand military operations in Gaza because negotiations with Hamas for a ceasefire and a hostage.
It's crazy because like Israel defenders spent the last 2 weeks saying all of the fucking starving Palestinian children were not actually starving. And then Hamas was like, no, everyone in the Strip is starving, including the fucking Israeli prisoners of war. And Israel immediately was like, nope, the only person starving in Israel, in Gaza is the Israeli. They were like, how could Hamas do this? Bro, you're doing it. What do you mean? You're doing it. I thought the starvation was fake. Now it's real? What the fuck? Yeah. Also, senior Israeli official on Channel 12 said, it's over. The decision has been made. We're going to occupy the Gaza Strip immediately, which is, oh, wow, so surprising. Netanyahu's war goals have long contradicted each other. Now he seems to have officially chosen one over the other. After failing to get Hamas to concede, he will choose to expand the genocide, even if it means killing the hostages. Yeah, I'm so shocked, guys. The media narrative around negotiations almost always ignores the fact that Israel never abided by the 2025 ceasefire deal, including by imposing the renewed starvation policy in violation of the deal, and then unilaterally ended the ceasefire altogether. Israel resumed strikes in Gaza after 2 months ceasefire, reportedly killing hundreds and promising increased force against Hamas. Israel halts all aid to Gaza, delays negotiations for phase 2 of the ceasefire. Gaza official reports over 350 Israeli violations of the ceasefire deal. There's never been a moment where Israel's abided by the previous deals that were put in place, that were implemented. And it is a true abdication of duty from the media, or at least, like, I guess they're you know, going along with their primary directive of like constantly defending Israel and America's interests by refusing to recognize this reality. And that refusal has led to a lot of confusion amongst people. But even then, they recognize something is wrong. Like, think about it. Think about how crazy things must be for your parents who only watch like mainstream news that don't give them exactly what's going on. And they still go, yeah, this is fucked up. What Israel's doing is fucked up. It's that bad.
Release deal are deadlocked. Well, it comes as hundreds of retired Israeli security officials have written to US President Donald Trump, urging him to put pressure on their own government to end the war. In an open letter, the signatories include former heads of the Mossad and Shin Bet security services and also 3 former Israeli military chiefs of staff. Now, in their letter, they say Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat to Israel. Meanwhile, in Gaza itself, the Hamas-run health ministry says that 5 more people have died from malnutrition in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of deaths from lack of food since the start of the war to 180, including 93 children. Hospital officials say at least another 27 Palestinians were killed seeking aid when Israeli troops opened fire at 2 different locations near aid distribution points in Gaza on Sunday. Well, like other international news organisations, Israel does not allow the BBC to report independently from inside Gaza. So our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, reports now from Jerusalem. Just to warn you, his report does contain images of severely malnourished children.
In Gaza, getting food or trying to can get you killed.
It's kids, it's children.
The Israeli military is firing live bullets.
Stay there.
Crowd control. You can hear the voices of the UN team who filmed this from inside their vehicle. They're waiting for a UN convoy crossing into southern Gaza.
Don't do this.
Then they saw the lorries and rushed them anyway.
Check your doors locked, manual lock as well, safety lock as well.
In Gaza City, the dead from another desperate crowd in the north of the Strip were buried. Their families said they were shot by the Israelis as they tried to get food. Abu Rami al-Masri said his son Wael was killed when the Israelis fired a tank shell. He's saying he went to get food, flour or anything, as we haven't got food. His brother was killed before that a while ago, trying to do the same thing. Children with existing medical problems are among the most vulnerable. Samar Mata is desperate for food for her sons, Amir 4 and Yusuf 6. Both boys have cerebral palsy. Now they're suffering from malnutrition.
Before the war, their health was excellent. They were provided with special meals, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. I used to keep chicken soup in the freezer for them, as well as biscuits and cakes. Now, all these things are unavailable.
Musab al-Dibs was 14
Jesus
and healthy
Christ.
until a serious head wound in an Israeli airstrike in May left him paralyzed and semi-conscious. Now he's severely malnourished. His mother, Shanaz, tries to comfort him.
You will get better. I promise. Okay? Someone will make us lentils.
This is the Holocaust. That's it. I've been saying it, and I think everyone should be saying it. This is the Holocaust. Israel is a Nazi country. The Israeli occupying force is the Nazi military, and their actions against the Palestinians is the Holocaust. The major difference between the original Holocaust and Israel's Holocaust right now is that the internet is around. And also we have prior knowledge of the Holocaust. And therefore, we have set societal standards against ever letting something like that happen again, right? But the images are damn near identical. And we get to see it every fucking day.
In Israel, supporters of the remaining hostages held by Hamas blocked roads in Tel Aviv. Their anguish made worse by the latest Hamas video of Eviata David, badly emaciated. The BBC isn't showing hostage videos made under duress. This was how he looked before the war.
Hostages kidnapped Gaza.
Daniel Lipsich's grandparents were Hamas hostages. His grandmother was released. His grandfather's body was recovered.
And we need everyone in the world to take an action on the image of Hamas and call them to stand in the negotiation table, release all the hostages unconditionally, to bring a ceasefire to Gaza, to continue to flood Gaza with humanitarian aid, and to demilitarize, as simple as it is, to end this awful situation, because we know they don't have much more time.
So you would say that in exchange for all the hostages, it's long overdue then for the government to say, okay, you give us the hostages, we finish the war, we leave.
Absolutely.
In Gaza, gunmen from an armed family protect some aid convoys for money. The fact they're not attacked by the IDF suggests it is with Israel's consent.
Protects. That's the popular forces led by Yasser Abu Shabab, who is illiterate. He's an ISIS affiliate and a drug dealer. They're not protecting the convoys. They're looting them, by the way. They get first pick on all of the fucking aid, which they loot. Again, another thing that I have been covering for months at this point, and now finally the mainstream outlets are getting around to it. This kind of stuff is not hard to figure out. Israel is doing it in broad daylight, and there are a fuck ton of on-the-ground Palestinian resources you can rely on for real-time information, and that's precisely what a lot of people are doing, and that's why they're so mad at Israel. How many months has it been since I covered Yasser Abu Shabab? It took months for the media to finally come to the conclusion that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was actually an aid trap mechanism to kill Palestinian civilians. It took months for them to even start recognizing that the Israel-backed criminal element in the region. If I have access to this information, do you think the BBC doesn't have access to this information? Like, what is happening?
Gaza's social structure is disintegrating. It's become a place of hunger, chaos, and death. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Well, we can speak now to Yonah Jeremy Bob, who's the Jerusalem Post's senior military correspondent and joins us live now. Thank you so much for being with us. Can I ask you first of all about this letter from about 600 former Israeli security officials, retired heads of Mossad and Shin Bet, 3 former military chiefs of staff, all saying to Benjamin Netanyahu they want an end to the war?
Yeah, you've got former Mossad chief Tamir Pardo, you've got former Shin Bet chief Ami Ayalon, several other Israeli military chiefs, and as you said, 600 officials. There's no question that the broad consensus of the Israeli military is, the former Israeli military is to bring an end to the war. Within the current Israeli military, there's a debate about can a little bit more military pressure finally get Hamas to give the hostages back a little bit more on Israeli terms, but there's definitely within the former military community, they want to end the war, even if it doesn't mean that Israel gets all of the terms that the Israeli government would like.
But despite that, it looks like from the latest reports we hear, Benjamin Netanyahu wants to expand military operations in Gaza. Is that what you're hearing?
So Netanyahu has not decided what he wants to do. He's at a very difficult point, right? There was a policy since March until about now to invade more of Gaza, take over 75% of the territory. For part of the time, to block increased food aid. There was an inventory of food aid, but block increased food aid to start the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, as an alternative to the UN. Why Israel said that that broke Hamas's control of receiving the food aid. All of these things, basically, other than the GHF, have basically fallen apart. The GHF is controversial, but it's still operating. but the policy has to change. The Israeli government now is giving Hamas all of the food aid it wants without getting hostages, without getting anything in return. So Netanyahu has to decide, is he going to change some of his terms, which looks unlikely because he wants to get rid of Hamas in Gaza, or is he going to, as you said, increase the war into some of the spots where hostages are, where Israel knows that hostages are, where it hasn't attacked before? Will it go there? Or will it annex the security perimeter that's an 1,000-meter perimeter going all around Gaza, which Israel probably was going to hold on anyway in order to make it harder for there to be another October 7th style invasion from Hamas? These are all the options that Netanyahu is weighing. He has not decided yet. He's still hoping that maybe Hamas will come back to the table in the next couple of days.
And it's been said, as you know, many times that Mr. Netanyahu is prolonging the war, or at least not ending it, for political reasons, because he thinks once the war ends, he'll be out of power.
Right, there's a mix, right? He has an ideological commitment that he does want to remove Hamas, but as you said, he has two major political partners, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, who have made it very clear that if he ends the war, they will topple his government, and he doesn't want that. Now, there are opposition figures who have said that if he ends the war getting the hostages back, they'll keep him afloat for some period of months. But he doesn't want that either. He wants the government to go all the way until October 2026. That's the longest it could go for the next election. So there's definitely a political element to this as well.
For the record, Israel has made it official. I mean, they already were doing it. They were already implementing it. But it is official. Netanyahu has decided a full-on occupation of the Gaza Strip. That's it. After Witkoff's short visit to Israel, it is clear that Trump and his people are falling into the same traps Netanyahu had previously set for Biden. It's not even a trap. What is the trap, dude? They're not falling into the trap. They're diving into the pool head first. There is no, oh my God, they fell for it. Why would this be a trap? America, at any point under the Biden administration and certainly under the Trump administration, could literally just fucking pull the plug on this. That's always been the case. They just choose not to. They don't want to. Netanyahu cares about preserving his hold on power and his alliance with Israel's messianic far-right parties, for whom any hostage deal is a deal breaker. But Netanyahu instead is saying, so to Witkoff's face, is coming up with moving goalposts in the negotiations, knowing that Hamas will reject these demands and therefore the talks will fail. IDF objects to what IDF is doing? What? Israeli Army Radio. The Israel Defense Force objects to the full occupation and or takeover of the Gaza Strip. I don't know how... I don't know the veracity of this statement coming from OSINT Defender. I hate this rationalizing of Netanyahu and his actions. He's just a bloodthirsty Nazi. I mean, it's not even a rationalization of Netanyahu and his actions. It's also wrong. Like, the notion that this is happening without America's go-ahead is just objectively wrong. Okay? I need you to understand. America gives Israel the go-ahead. America has all the power here to stop Israel. After all, why is there no ongoing war with Iran? Now, that might open up again later down the line, but why did Israel stop brutalizing Iran? Two reasons. One, Iran has counter-ballistic capabilities that Hamas clearly doesn't have, and can punish the broader Israeli society and cripple the Israeli economy actively. Much more limited version of this is what the Ansar Allah is doing in Yemen, right? But ultimately, they really wanted to do regime change in Iran. They really wanted to destabilize the Iranian government. Why did they stop? Because Trump told them to.
The U.S. will...
Yeah, he said the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip on February 4th.
And we will do a job with it, too.
Yeah, that was crazy when he fucking revealed that.